Good afternoon, my friends. This is not the Grim Flayer. This is Bobby, and I'm here with our 5 Ticks Modern Team Super League weekly recap. So, week one of our 5 Ticks Modern Team Super League is in the books, and what we're here to do today is walk you through our feature match coverage, who the competitors were, what their strategy was, the decks they picked. We'll have some gameplay, and then we'll go over what the results were from all the teams in the tournament and where the standings sit now and what's coming next week. So this week, our feature match features the Grimm's Avengers going up against the BBEs, otherwise known as the Big Brain Ensemble, competing in the first week of our 7-week tournament for a box of Modern Horizons 2. So as we discussed in our preseason hype video, and if you haven't seen that, please go check it out on Grimm's channel. We're using a what some might call a League of Legends style counterpick system for our teams. So as you can see on the left, there are home and away teams. And in addition to getting to veto one deck from each other team, they take turns picking decks. And so this adds an element of strategy. And so we'll talk through some of the deck selections here from our competing teams and the strategy behind it, and then how the matchup shook out before we get into the gameplay. So Grimm's Avengers were the home team, which means they get the first pick, and the BBEs were the away team. And the BBEs chose to veto the Grimm's Avengers burn deck. And in discussing their strategy, they told me that they were thinking about a few different things. They were looking at banning both Gyruda and Pillow Fort, very similar deck to the Enduring Ideal deck that you see they got banned themselves, in order to give their mid-range deck some room to breathe and a path to get through, because they noticed that Grimm's Avengers brought a lot of aggro decks to the table. And they were also considering banning some aggro decks. Burn, Stompy, and Tezzerator. But ultimately, they landed on Burn. They just thought that was the biggest threat. A lot of their decks, you can see Tron, Mill, Hivemind, some of them are some go big, late game decks, and Burn is the quickest way to deal with those, so they chose to get rid of that. Once they had banned Burn, they knew that GA could only really bring 2 aggressive decks, and they could respond accordingly. They didn't want to get overrun with aggressive decks. That was their plan going in. And so GA started with Dredge, and in response to Dredge, the BBEs looked at Tron. Dan, who had built the Tron deck, knew that he had planned for some graveyard synergy decks already, and he thought he had some good tech for that matchup. So if they were to get paired, he thought that would be good. Kami then felt that Mill had a pretty even matchup against most of what was left in the field for the Grimm's Avengers to pick from. They ended up going with Tezzerator and Green Stompy to try to counter Tron and Mill. And then the BBEs chose to wrap things up with Hivemind, which they felt just had a really strong matchup across kind of all 3 of these decks. So after these decks were selected, then again, these were selected without knowing who would play which decks and how they would get matched up. We had each team submit who they wanted to play each deck and in what order. So Grimm's Avengers chose Nastier to play Stompy first, and TheDogFish in the second seat with Tezzerator, and they chose Juggernaut to bring up the rear with Dredge. And then the BBEs, without knowing that order, who would be playing those decks, chose Ashes to go lead on Hivemind, Kami to take the follow-up with Mill, and then Dan to round things out with Tron. So it looks like their strategy there was rewarded in that Dan did get to line up against Juggernaut's Dredge deck with his Tron deck. And then a couple other really interesting matchups: an aggressive Stompy deck going up against a late-game bomb deck in Ash's Hivemind. And then Dogfish's kind of Tezzerator mid-rangey aggressive deck against Kami's combo-y Mill deck. So we're going to bring you a couple matches here. The first one, Nastier's Green Stompy deck against Ash's Hivemind deck. And then a bonus match, Dogfish's Tezzerator against Kami's Mill. Hope you guys enjoy the gameplay, and I'll see you on the other side to talk about what happened with the rest of the field and take a look at the standings.
Good afternoon, my friends, and welcome to the very exciting 5 Ticks Super League match that we have here. I have my good friend, Jag. Jag, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing today?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited for this match to kick off.
I'm very, very excited too. So both Jag and I, we are participating ourselves in this amazing 5 Ticks Super League that Bobby has put on for us. How have you enjoyed this league so far?
As an entirety, I've been kind of nervous for it. I've never played 5 Ticks before, so it's going to be something new, but I am very excited to jump into the format and see what everybody else is playing.
I'm super excited too. And we have a pretty cool matchup to get us started off here. Jag, why don't you explain from your end what you're looking at for your match?
So in this matchup, Nastier chose to play a mono green Stompy list. I am very excited about it. Any deck that utilizes Steel Leaf Champion, I am already a fan of. I played mono green Stompy with Steel Leaf Champion when it was printed, so I'm already a huge fan of what he's playing here.
That sounds pretty cool. Pretty cool, yeah. And on this end, we have what could be maybe the polar opposite kind of deck from Ashes here. Ashes on this side is playing 5 ticks Hivemind, which is a very, very unique deck. Basically, what this deck is trying to accomplish is trying to ramp into the combo of having the card Hivemind cast, which for all of you who had to look this up just right now, not me, of course, because I have all these cards memorized, but Hivemind's a 6-mana enchantment that says whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose new targets for his or her copy. The idea here is we just cast our Hivemind, and then we just play a bunch of packs. And then with those packs, our opponent is then casting it. It's not a May, they have to cast it themselves. And then they cast a pack, but then if it goes to their upkeep and they can't pay for it, they lose the game. So kind of just a 2-card combo knockout punch from the deck. And so what we see probably here is going to happen is we see this already kind of happening here. Nastier is just trying to get off to the fastest possible start that he can, where Ash is just trying to combo kill. And Nastier is just trying to end the game before Ashes can get up into anything that's dangerous or that's no good. And I think that's what's happened here. Anything else you're seeing here, Jag? This game looks pretty much over here.
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed it up well. Yeah, Nastier just took the wind. I mean, kind of two polar opposite kind of deck styles. One of them's going more of the combo piece with the Hivemind and close it out, whereas Nastier is just trying to get as much damage on the board as possible, and you saw that in game 1.
Very, very interesting. Does Nastier have anything in the sideboard to fight against a big go-over-the-top combo deck like this?
Looking at his sideboard, I'm assuming that he's going to bring in some Reclamation Sage to take care of the Hivemind.
Okay.
He has some other options in there that he can bring in, but I think that he should probably just stick to his aggro plan. He can bring in the Reclamation Sage to destroy those enchantments, but the aggro plan seemed to work in game 1, so we can see if it does the same for game 2.
That's a good point. And man, these players are just absolutely tearing through both sideboarding and playing the game. I mean, that game 1 went by before we could even finish explaining their decks. Yeah, that was really cool. But on Ash's side here, I believe I saw him reaching for a Rampaging Baloths. Pretty cool card. Big old 6-drop. That's a 6/6 trampler, and it says landfall. And whenever a land enters the battlefield, you make a 4/4 green beast creature token. So looking for an alternate win con actually here. Looking for a little additional help to fight against Nastier's really fast aggression. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he pulled in some Pulse of Marasa. And I guess a way to try to maybe delay the game a little bit, trying to make sure the game goes a little bit longer, maybe gets back a chump blocker from the graveyard, something like that.
Yeah, as our viewers are seeing, Nastier unfortunately had to mold a 5 this game. He kind of got flooded with a bunch of mana dorks in the 7, and then got a bunch of lands in the hand after that. So he did have to take a mold of 5, and he was unfortunately not able to find the second land on turn 2.
Dang, that's really unfortunate. I was about to ask what was going on over there with just the old attack for the 1/1 Elvish Mystic.
Yep, he just got another Land of War Elves this turn, so next turn he can bring out a Steel Leaf Champion.
Gotcha. What's his hand looking like? I mean, do you think he's going to be able to catch back up if he hits this next land drop? Do you think he has enough aggression?
After this one, I think he'll be fine. Worst case scenario, he has back-to-back Steel Leaf Champions. But if he starts hitting those land drops, which he probably will, his deck is thinning out, I think he'll be fine.
Gotcha. Ooh, do we get there?
Unfortunately, we did not get a second land, but like I said, we have a champion this turn, and we'll probably get another champion next turn, unless he wants to cast Ronus, which he does have in hand.
Okay.
But
very
as
nice.
we're starting to thin out, I hope those lands will come, because I don't want to see him go down to a lack of lands.
I think this is all that's going to happen here, though, and Nastier is going to scoop it right up. Wow, complete, just absolute, just Man, rev your engines, buckle up. These games are going really fast.
Very quick matches.
Both decks, just 2 ships passing in the night. Just one just trying to race the other. Ashes here is trying to decide. He pulled in a Carnage Tyrant, then pulled it out and said, no, I got to stick to just comboing off here. Did Nastier change anything up?
I do not believe so.
Okay, gotcha. Excellent, excellent. Well, we're looking at an interesting hand here for Ashes. It's a little bit slow, but it looks like he's going to keep it. It's kind of off a Wall of Blossoms and an Elvish Rejuvenator. And what are we looking at here over on Nastier's side? Is he going to take any more mulligans?
Yeah, right now I think he's going to 5 cards, in which he kept the 5. He begins the game with 2 ley lines,
3 cards in hand. Oh man!
And he's bringing out a Land of War Elves right now.
Wow! So how much mana does that tap for? That's going to tap for 3 mana, right?
Yep. Ley line allows it to tap for an additional green if you tap with a creature. So those Land of Wars are tap for 3.
This is awesome. And you know what? I love the balls to the wall because, Nastier knows that the Land War Elves is going to survive. So, he can keep those high risk, high upside kind of, ley line with the mana dork kind of hands because, I'm looking over the list here and we don't have any removal spells besides a Slaughter Pact, but we're hoping not to cast a Slaughter Pact because we have no way to pay for it ourselves over here on Ash's side. So... Gosh, what else is left in his hand? Is there anything else going on here with the elves?
He has 1 card left in his hand. It is a Ghalta Primal Hunger.
Oh.
It's CMC 12, but with those Land of War Elves on the field, it brings it down to, what, 10?
Right.
So he's at 8 mana right now. He just got a land, so that's 9. So if he hits a land drop next turn, he might be able to cast it.
Gotcha. And so Ghalta, remind me on Ghalta, or I'm going to look it up myself, but Ghalta checks power?
It is a 12 CMC. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control.
Gotcha.
And other than that, it's just a 12/12 trample.
Right. Gotcha.
Just a 12/12.
Just a 12/12 trample. It's fine. I guess the bigger creatures will act as this is brilliant. So you can put counters on it with the ley line, then cheapen. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't think Nastier was hoping to do that in this matchup. The race each other who can combo off first matchup, but Nastier's got to do what he's got to do here, and my oh my,
we see right now we're bringing out the big boy.
We're bringing him out. The big boy has landed, and unfortunately, we just hit a land here for Ashes. Or do we just have enough here because I'm miscounting? Yeah, we just have enough because I miscounted. Unfortunately, that is all she wrote. My goodness, that was quick. Yep. Wow. Well, gosh, well played to both players. Obviously, both players clearly have practiced a lot with both their decks, and that was really impressive from both sides. I felt like they both knew what they were doing at every moment. What'd you think of that one, Jack?
Very quick on all 3 accounts, but it was a very fun match to see. I enjoyed both decks.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, my friends. This is Maybe Lotus's Dan, and I'm here joined by the lovely and talented Steven Mirabito. Steven, what are we in for today?
Oh man, I'm so excited, Dan. On my end, where I'm looking at, I'm watching Kami play, and Kami's playing the same archetype that I registered for this event, so I'm really excited to see how kind of our 2 decks play out. But Kami is playing Mono Blue Mill on this side, some good old Crab Mill with some new spicy cards from MH2, including the wonderful Fractured Sanity, which is triple blue to mill 14, or you can cycle for 1 and a blue to draw a card with the cycle, of course, and then you also mill your opponent for 4. So a cool new card kind of spurring on this mono blue archetype. But what are we seeing over here on Dogfish's end?
Well, Dogfish is representing the robot tribal, and we're going to see in a minute just about all the cards in his hand. He's got the old 4 creatures land start, and now he's going to sacrifice a bunch of permanents and put his Salvage Titan into play. And then after that, he's going to be left with just 2 lands.
That was awesome.
And Dogfish saying in the chat, all in, baby. I can confirm that is an all in play.
Oh my goodness. I am kind of blown away here by what has just happened. We literally truly just gone all in on this side. But yeah, that's something. So basically Kami is just going to try to race as fast as he can to mill out the opponent mill out Dogfish here, but Dogfish has put a great deal of power on the board on turn 1. 8 power to be exact on turn 1, giving him about a 3-turn clock if Kami has nothing to say about it.
Yeah, and I think that was about a storm count of 5 on that turn or so. That's pretty good.
That's pretty impressive.
But if Kami's able to either kill Dogfish by mill or otherwise interact, or I guess if Dogfish continues to not add to the board, I think Kami could still have a very real chance despite the overwhelming aggression of the Salvage Titan.
Yeah. And one really cool thing about how Kami and I have built our deck list is we really took different philosophies and approaches to how we played, or how we built our decks and how we were playing them, by extension. One really cool piece of tech that I forgot about is sanity grinding, which honestly I probably should have just put sanity grinding in my deck. If anyone doesn't know, sanity grinding is a triple blue, and you reveal the top 10 cards of your own library. And then for every pip of blue devotion, basically, your opponent mills that much. So there's a decent chance here that Kami is going to turn over a whole bunch of cards. And if Kami... Actually, it's possible with this Fraying Sanity. As a reminder, Fraying Sanity doubles all your mills on the end step. But interesting. So Kami decides not to go for it. I thought that here Kami was just going to go for sanity grinding and just try to one-shot kill Dogfish here. But it looks like he's going for something a little bit different. Oh, he's going to fill up the yard for Visions of Beyond. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Dogfish not missing a beat here. This is really interesting. So I wonder exactly how he's going to use this Salvage Titan, but potentially if he holds priority, he can just do this for a bunch of times just delay. He can delay the power of Visions of Beyond and similar cards to a significant degree.
Oh my god, like Dan, my mind was just blown. Can you explain what just happened here?
Yeah, so Kami cast his Maddening Cacophony. He milled over one of Dogfish's 4 Salvage Titans. And then Salvage Titan has this ability, it's an activated ability in the graveyard, where it's able to, in addition to being cast by sacrificing some artifacts, you can return it from your graveyard by exiling 3 artifacts. So, and also that ability doesn't require any like mana or weird priority or anything. Just as long as you have the artifacts, a single Salvage Titan can respond to itself if you retain priority and just keep sort of using the ability as many times as you like. So it's a pretty fancy trick.
That is
and
really
I think definitely relevant in the matchup.
Well, this is really coming down to the wire here. I am pretty sure if Dogfish does not kill Kami here, he is going to die to Kami. Because Dogfish only has 14 cards left, and we have a Fractured Sanity in our hands on Kami's side, which alone would kill him, but with the Fraying Sanity definitely kills him.
Okay, yeah. So looking at Dogfish's hand, he's really not going to be able to present lethal this turn, but he is going to force a chump with the Ruin Crab. I don't know if that's going to be key in any way. You're saying he has a big in hand?
No, he just has unfortunately has Fractured Sanity in his hand, sanity, so and he'll just fire it off. Fractured Sanity alone takes care of it because Dogfish is at exactly 14 cards.
So crucially, if Dogfish didn't have or feel like he had to sacrifice his land, like his turn 1 land, he could potentially have presented lethal here with the Cranial Plating plus Equip.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, the turn 1 Salvage Titan is a cruel mistress, and
it is
it looks like it wasn't quite enough here. Jeez.
Right. All right.
But I'm glad we got to talk about the funny interaction with the Salvage Titan.
Really cool interaction that I didn't think about at all. But yeah, unfortunately we have it here. Unless Dogfish has an upkeep burn spell, but he does not. And sadly, we are moving on to sideboarding. Looks like Kami is immediately going to cut his counterspells. Counterspell and Censor, which I like a lot because, Dogfish is just vomiting out his hand immediately. So not a lot of room for him to nab anything meaningfully with Counterspell or Censor. And he is looking for a Set Adrift, which I really like there. An Engulf the Shore. Another piece of tech. Now, Kami and I never spoke during, we never talked about our brewing process because we were on separate teams. But we both keyed into Engulf the Shore as really, really nice piece of sideboard tech. And I really like it here. Engulf the Shore is insane if you were to bounce back all the artifacts that Dogfish has worked so hard to put on the battlefield. But what's Dogfish doing on his end to sideboard?
I would feel remiss if I didn't also mention, because Kami's one of my teammates and I'm very familiar with his list. He has is it 1 or 2 copies of Rebuild, which is going to basically be just the same as Engulf the Shore, but better.
Yeah. Oh wait, I missed this one. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Return
the
all
best card in the
artifacts
matchup
to
for
their
sure.
owner's hands. Pretty good.
Basically, Dogfish has done exactly what I would do. He's cut his size because they're pretty slow and also get like extremely blown up by like all those cards we were just talking about. He
Mhm.
brought in his extra burn spells with Shrapnel Blast and all of his counter magic.
Gotcha.
So he's just going to try to sort of play a tempo game where he can both interact with the huge spells and also just apply meaningful pressure.
Gotcha.
What are we looking at for Kami's opening hand?
Kami has a pretty reasonable opening hand. He's got a turn 1 crab, 3 lands, 2 fraying sanities, and a fractured sanity. Interesting thing about fraying sanity, for anyone who doesn't know, fraying sanity doubles up on itself if you have multiples. So let's say that, because 2 triggers go on the stack at the end step. So let's say even if you milled your opponent for like 5, your fraying sanity is going to see, your first fraying sanity trigger is going to see that. It's going to be 10. Sorry, it's going to mill another 5 for a total of 10. And then your second fraying sanity trigger is going to go on the stack seeing 10, and then it's going to mill another 10 with 20 total. So basically, fraying sanity has an exponential growth with it when you have multiples on the battlefield. So I wonder if Kami, because we don't see a very fast start from Dogfish here, I wonder if Kami is going to go for the, oh wow, he just drew another crab. So he might even just go for double fraying sanity here. And then with that double fraying sanity, just really like one-shot kill Dogfish with like a single sanity grinding or a single fractured sanity.
So what Dogfish is trying to do here is cast Metallic Rebuke, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to do it because of the weirdness with Springleaf Drum having to tap one of his artifacts that he wants to use with Improvise.
Right.
But he does have the option to Shrapnel Blast one of the crabs right now.
Gotcha.
I don't know if he wants to go for that or not. Like maybe he's hoping to save that to go phase. But I'm pretty sure he was counting on being able to rebuke, and he was just one free artifact away from like being able to have that.
Gotcha. It might be a blessing in disguise for Dogfish, because as scary as these crabs are, what might be more important here is just the quadruple 3-drops that Kami has in hand. If Dogfish can present a meaningful clock, it might be more worth his time to just counter one of these fraying sanities or one of these fractured sanities, something like that.
Yeah, very possible. Also, like Dogfish didn't necessarily have to go for anything last turn. He's just passing the turn with either of his spells up now, and yeah, he's gonna be able to rebuke like very comfortably the fraying sanity.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, like, I think pretty key to making a stand.
Well, it's definitely going to be key here, but we really need a payoff now for Dogfish. Like, we really need to rip a cranial plating or something to put on
that would be probably his best draw.
Yeah.
He did draw a Galv Blast, which is fine.
Okay.
He could potentially just kill both of the crabs right now.
Okay. That seems reasonable.
I'm inclined to say he just should. Yeah. I mean, it does feel maybe a little bit tempting to hold them just, because it represents 9 damage for 2 mana or 3 mana and an artifact. But
right.
I like Dogfish's line here. Just control the board and try to like leverage a bit of a tempo advantage, like I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is really going to buy us a whole nother turn here, because now what we see is in Kami's hand is going to be just 4 3-drops. So he's just going to be kind of ploddingly resolving one at a time. So he's just going to go fraying sanity here, and then maybe fractured sanity the next turn. And it's going to be a little bit more slow of a clock. We really need to rip a payoff here.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure Dogfish is going to hold that, but he just ripped a basic land off the top.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's really
pretty brutal
rough
for him. He really wanted just cranial plating would be great, but like I guess like Nastier of Ethereum would be another good one. Like he had a lot of like 5 draws there, but he just drew one of his air cards.
Yeah. And so we just get to see a 28.
Oh, this is insane.
28 cards milled with the sanity.
He's just jamming the Salvage Titan right away.
Oh.
Back to the hand, buddy. You're going to be...
Yeah, they're going to need that.
Probably going to cast the next turn.
I'm guessing.
Another good draw would be potentially like a Stubborn Denial, I guess. I think Cranial Plating will still be better.
Right. Right.
Yeah, Dogfish is just gonna load up on salvage items right away.
Makes sense.
Get him in my veins, he says.
Yes, exactly. Hey, you got it. You know what? Kami is providing an advantage to Dogfish in some ways by giving him these, so he's really going to want to have those. But yeah, I don't even. But I'm a little bit worried here because I think if Dogfish has nothing to say about it, I think Kami's just got it because we only got 9 cards left in our deck. So
Wouldn't be surprised at all. I think this felt like with that huge turn that Kami just had, really feels like Dogfish just has to be just presenting lethal right now, or these salvage titans are just a turn too late at best.
Yeah, but by quite a bit. So the only thing, it's the best. You know what? Hey, I love it. Dogfish says this is the best I can do. I have nothing else in my hand. The bluff isn't worth it. I got a bunch of. But does he just kill himself with the own frame stand? Oh, he doesn't quite kill himself, so he's dead to anything from. Yeah. Let's see if Kami decides to play with his food or not. But yeah.
Yeah, he can rivulet, right?
Yeah, he could rivulet. Yeah, there was a couple. Oh, he can even. Oh my goodness, and just. Oh God, Kami, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh no, no. This Dogfish has a family.
The rebuild.
The rebuild just
even let him have his golems.
Yep, exactly. And of course, funny enough, the fraying sanity falling off because the opponent has conceded from the game. Really, just full on rubbing the salt in the wound there.
Dogfish experiencing a little bit of client lag. Well, a masterful display from an excellent player, completely non-biased commentary, of course, and shout out to Dogfish. He did what he can do, but I think that ultimately was a pretty favorable matchup for my teammate Kami.
Yes, absolutely.
Welcome back, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that great gameplay. Had one quick one and another pretty Mill doing Mill things. But let's take a look at what happened with the rest of the field. So as you just saw, Mill and Hivemind took their matches against Stompy and Tezzerator. But in addition to that, Dan's Tron deck, again, the strategy seemed to pay off, took down Dredge 2-0, giving the BBEs a clean sweep of their matchup against Grimm's Avengers. In our second match, we had Bust Down Liliana going up against Classic Cigarettes and Jack Daniels number 7. Bust Down Liliana had their blue tempo deck veto, and they ended up going with Mill, 5 ticks to light on fire, a red deck wins deck, and Demir Control. And their opponent, Classic Cigarettes, had their blue-white control deck vetoed, and so they chose to go with Polymorph, Plumcrats, which is an aristocrat-style deck, and White Auras. And Bust Down Liliana's got the better of this matchup, with Mill beating Polymorph, red deck wins beating the Aristocrats deck, but Classic Cigarettes and Jack Daniels were able to salvage part of the week with their White Auras deck. And finally, we had Mull to 1 taking on Rakdos Intolerant. Living End, to the surprise of few, was the choice to be vetoed from Mull to 1, while Rakdos Intolerant had their Snackdos deck vetoed. Mull to 1 chose to bring Dead Guy, UR Flash, and Green White Aggro, while Rakdos Intolerant brought Soul Herder, Prowess, and Green White Aggro to battle, and Mull to 1 took the day. Although Soul Herder took down Dead Guy 2-0, UR Flash was able to defeat Prowess, and in the Green White Aggro mirror, Goat Shield got the better of Jag, beating him 2-0. So our standings after week 1, the BBEs with their clean sweep in the lead with 3 points. Bust Down Liliana and Mull to 1, each getting 2 points. Bust Down Liliana is currently sitting in second place due to the first tiebreaker, their team game win percentage, sitting at a much higher clip right now than Mull to 1. And so that means that Bust Down Liliana won more individual games within their matches than Mull to 1 did. That green line there you'll see throughout the season represents where the playoff cutoff will be. So our top 3 teams will make the playoffs. The number 1 seed will get a bye. The 2 and 3 seeds will play best of 5. And then in the final, whichever of the 2 or 3 seed wins will take on the number 1 seed in a best of 7. So as we go through the season, keep track of that. And then rounding out, we have Rakdos Intolerant, Classic Cigarettes and Jack Daniels, Grimm's Avengers. And then end of turn, Fact or Fiction, You Lose. We're on bye this week. So they have not yet played a match, but they will be one of our feature teams next week. So I hope you all enjoyed that gameplay. I hope you're enjoying this tournament. We're all very excited to keep bringing you more content, and we'll see what week 2 brings. Have a great night, everyone.